Thanks for joining me in this case study. This particular case, we had a client from Nigeria named Upanga that came to my office and stated that she'd received a refusal on an open spousal work permit. But she didn't understand why, because she had submitted what she thought were the correct documentation. And of course, with an open spousal work permit, the most important document is your marriage certificate. And she had submitted that application. So what did she do wrong? When you're doing an open spousal work permit, remember, it's attached to something. An open spousal work permit cannot be obtained by itself. So for example, it's attached to a study permit. It's attached to a work permit. It's attached to an inland spousal sponsorship. An open spousal work permit you cannot obtain by itself. So yes, she included the marriage certificate, but what she didn't properly explain to the officer is what the attached document it was. And in this one, she should have submitted her PGW work permit, so her post-grad work permit. And now in this case, she did somewhat mention that she was on a post-grad work permit because it says in the documents, but she didn't attach the actual post-grad work permit. But even if she had done that, she also made another mistake that most clients make. When you're doing an open spousal work permit on a PGW work permit, you must show to the officer that you have a job under NOC A, B, or O. And if you don't have a job, or your job is a NOC C or D, then your spouse cannot enter on an open spousal work permit. So she didn't know this. She added the marriage certificate, the forms, and some financial documents, and she thought that's all that was needed. And so after several months, she came to me and I looked at it and I said, no, you need to include the PGW work permit approval. And why this is important is because your PGW work permit has reference numbers on it. And most importantly, it has the validity date. Your spouse's open spousal work permit cannot exceed your PGW work permit. And your PGW work permit cannot be valid less than 6 months. So these things are very important for the officer to issue the open spousal work permit. But of course, to her surprise, she also needed to include her employment letter that clearly explains the NOC, that it's a full-time position, the job duties of that NOC, and it has to match the NOC A, B, or O. If you do that, you don't have to worry too much about demonstrating the genuineness of your marriage. A lot of clients add ample marriage photos and so forth. Yes, it's recommended that you do that, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 documentation, but that's not really in question. If it becomes in question, the officer will give you what's called a procedural fairness letter. So don't worry too much about that. Just make sure that you include the valid PGW work permit, the employment letter with the proper NOC and the job duties, obviously your marriage certificate, and everything else that you would have done with a visit visa, financial documents, travel documents, purpose of travel to come to Canada, ties to the home country, etc., etc. If you're looking at applying for an open spousal work permit, do contact us. Thank you. Until next time.